to welcome our next guest in a segment we call Mission Pawsible. And we are honored to welcome Brooke Corson. She's the visionary founder of Mutts With A Mission. Brooke's journey began with the positive impact her dog Angus had on troops at Fort Benning, sparking a mission to provide specially trained dogs for those who serve our nation. Established in 2008, this nonprofit organization trains service dogs to support disabled veterans, first responders, and law enforcement, offering comfort for mobility challenges and PTSD. It's an awesome cause. Mutts With A Mission received full accreditation from Assistance Dog International in 2019, a testament to their commitment to excellence. Let's explore the inspiring story of Mutts With A Mission and its transformative impact on the lives of heroes as we welcome Brooke to the show, joining us from Virginia Beach. Welcome, Brooke.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, we're honored. I mean, we really believe in your mission, and we're so thankful for all that you're doing. So how are you feeling going into the holidays? Are you running with a full battery, or how are you doing?
Yes. Yeah, we're doing great. We've had some awesome visits with sailors recently, and we had one actually yesterday that was it's always wonderful to do because some of these sailors don't get to go home for the holidays, and so it's always fun to spend time with them. So yeah, we're running on a full battery and we're excited for the holidays.
Oh, that is awesome. You know, we always like to kind of start in the beginning when we're interviewing awesome people like you. I'm curious, when did your love for dogs begin?
So I grew up training dogs. My mom was a dog trainer. We used to show and things like that. So it's always, as long as I can remember. So.
Oh, that is so sweet. I know it's like when that love sparks, it's like, you can't imagine not doing something with that passion and joy, and you're doing a lot. You've had a really unique journey. You've transitioned from being a dog trainer, paying your way through college into joining the Army. So how did those past experiences maybe translate into your journey, into your military lifestyle, particularly during your time in Fort Benning?
So when I was at Fort Benning, I had left. So my husband we had recently moved to New Jersey, where he's from. He stayed in New Jersey and took care of the two dogs that we had there. And after about a year, I decided I wanted to get a dog to do blood trailing wounded deer, not knowing the impact that it would have on essentially the rest of my life, or the rest of our lives, if I'm going to be completely honest. So I got Angus, started training him, but then also was taking him to work with me. And from there, it just exploded from there.
Oh, that is so awesome. I'm curious. You mentioned having your buddy there, your canine friend. I mean, is this a typical thing that's allowed on bases? I've just always been curious about that.
No, it's not. I come from the mindset of ask for forgiveness, not permission. So yes, it is. And I don't recommend it. I don't recommend you go out and do what I did. But it's just watching the impact that it had on the other soldiers and even the civilians that worked there. It opened up a couple doors, made some difficult relationships a lot easier. There was a gentleman who worked in the weapons pool who was notoriously tough when he did inspections and things like that. And I was at the weapons pool one day with Angus, and he came out and saw him and said, well, I had a Cairn Terrier when I was in Germany. And it just made working with him a lot easier because he knew, we had that commonality. So it was pretty neat. It's pretty cool.
That's so cool. It brought out his softer side. And I'm sure you have story after story after story just like that. And that had to serve as inspiration for you, seeing this positive impact and how dogs can essentially have, and they do have, a therapeutic impact on us.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I could tell so many stories about that. Sorry about that.
It's someone calling right now. Hey, can you help me out, bro?
Yes, probably. Yes. I thought I'd shut that off. That's why I'm a dog trainer, not a technology person.
That's fine. We know that you're in high demand, and that's just another example of it. No big deal at all. But I know that one of your missions, or a part of your mission, is educating people about the effectiveness of service dogs for veterans who are dealing with PTSD. And this is a big deal. So tell us, why is this so close to your heart, this advocacy?
Unfortunately, there are a lot of times when people will go out and get a dog or go online and buy a vest for their dog because, their VA provider or their doctor has said, yeah, you should get a service dog. And those dogs really are not well trained or, even temperamentally suitable for the job. And so they're not only doing themselves a disservice because they really don't have a dog that's helping them, but you're also doing a disservice to the dog because they're not prepared for the lifestyle of being a service dog.
Yes, that's a really, really good point. I know that over the years, you've seen some really significant growth. Can you share some key experiences or milestones with us that have shaped the organization?
So the most recent was about a year, I guess a little over a year and a half ago, when the USS George Herbert Walker Bush was deploying. The month beforehand, one of actually it was the CO's wife reached out to us and said, would you please bring, would you have availability? Can you bring dogs out? We want to do some morale building for our sailors prior to deployment. They had a very young crew. Over 50% of the sailors had never deployed before. They said, we've been doing some things, but we want to do more to build morale prior to the deployment. And so we spent every Wednesday, the month of July, aboard the Bush with our service dogs in training, visiting with sailors. And since then, we've had over 150 visits to ships and shore-based commands with our service dogs in training.
Wow, what an experience. That is incredible. I know that you're expanding your work to first responders and law enforcement. Why are these demographics such a good fit for service dogs?
So when we originally started, it was we just worked with service-connected military disabilities. And back in 2019, we were approached by an organization and they said, hey, did you realize that 29% of law enforcement are either veterans, either National Guard or reservists? And we said, no, we didn't really know that. We kind of knew that because a lot of the drill sergeants, when I was down at Fort Benning, a lot of those were reservists.
Sure.
But we had just, as an organization, had never really sat down and thought about it. So we started doing some, looking at the numbers, and we realized that, unfortunately, if you look at the numbers, we always hear 22 veterans a day commit suicide, which is a horrible number.
Yes.
But if you look at law enforcement, their suicide rate is more than that of veterans per year because they are a smaller community. And so we said, you know what, these guys are, I say guys, I mean guys and girls.
Of course.
Please get offended.
Yes.
But, these guys are serving us here at home. They're keeping us safe. They're putting their life on the line here in our communities. And so they're suffering a lot of the same types of PTSD, even physical injuries, that become disabling. And so we decided that we were going to bring them into the organization and accept applications as well.
That is amazing. And on all fronts, law enforcement, military personnel, we are so grateful for your service. We want to make that clear. And I am so grateful, all of us at Dog Mom News, Brooke, for your dedication to helping and serving them. And I know so much goes into training these dogs. Can you walk us through what the training process is like?
Absolutely. So we look at these puppies really before they're born. Because of our accreditation through Assistance Dogs International, we are a part of a breeding co-op with other service dog programs. So when I say that, before they're born, we're looking at mom, we're looking at dad, we're looking at their health clearances for the parents, their trainability, their temperament. In cases where we utilize breeders, we're looking at, what have these dogs produced if they have other litters on the ground, again, what have mom and dad done with, with the breeders? Do they have, are they structurally, do they have their championships? Do they have working dog titles? What's their trainability like? And then when the puppies are born, if they're born within the co-op, we start shaping these puppies for their jobs from day one. There are things that you can do, as these puppies are growing older and older. And then at about 7-8 weeks, we make our decisions. If it's a breeding co-op dog, then we're given the puppy from another program. If it's a puppy we raise in-house, we kind of go through our selection process there. And if it is a dog that we get from a breeder, about 7 weeks, we ask that we are able to come in and evaluate the litter. And some breeders we've been working with long enough that we know that they know exactly what we're looking for, so we can trust them and say, okay, you've raised this puppy for the past 8-10 weeks. You know what we're looking for. What puppy's the best fit, or puppies are the best fits for our organization. Yes. And then we bring them in and we start the training right away with their puppy raisers. We place them in puppy raiser homes. So we have volunteers out in the community who take these puppies in for about 18 to 20 months. They come to class. Our organization, we do weekly classes. Some organizations do it differently, but that's what we're comfortable doing. They come to class once a week. They learn skills. They take it home and work with the puppy on those skills and previously learned skills, and take them out and about everywhere. And then we'll do ship visits or command visits that they attend. And so we keep doing that and start, at about a year, we start really with the task work. There are tasks that we train all the puppies in. And then we start to get more specific. 14 months when the dogs, we're watching them and we see, okay, well, what does this dog enjoy doing the most? Like, where would they fit best? And we do honor that because it's part of their job and we want them to enjoy it.
Yes.
So.
And you get more of a feel for their personality, as you're saying. It's amazing how much goes into preparing them and training them. That is amazing. How do you go about matching them with the right applicant?
That's everyone's favorite question. And it's a good one, but it's a hard to answer one.
Sure.
So say I have a group of 7 dogs that are going to go out as service dogs. I will bring 7 applicants who we feel that their needs match the skills of the dog. And then they come to us for 2 weeks, and it's a very intense 2-week train up that they meet the dog and do a lot of training. But what we really focus on the first day, we bring them in, we hand them a 50-foot long line, a ball, we give them some quick instruction, and then we send them out. We're lucky we have a 20-acre horse farm that we're situated on. So we send them out in the fields with the dog and let them start playing. And then we see, then we'll switch dogs around if we think we need to. And then we see which dog fits best with the individual. And really, we want to see that bond starting to form during that 2 weeks.
That's so sweet. So it sounds like it's kind of a mix. Maybe you prepare the dogs through training for specific tasks beforehand, but then does the training also kind of evolve as you see how they're bonding and if they're forming that bond as they should?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. If they don't bond, maybe we switch dogs around and see, well, is this dog better with this person? And unfortunately, sometimes if we don't see that bond, if we're not comfortable that they're bonding, because if there's no bond, the person's not going to, have the connection with the dog, and the dog's not really going to work with them well. Sure. So the bond is very important. We've had to send people home and say, hey, we'll try again next class.
Right.
But it's imperative that we're comfortable that the team is going to work out on both sides.
That's tough, but you want it to be successful. It only makes sense. Now, I'm also curious with the dogs, I'm sure you train them for dealing with anxiety, for taking medications. Maybe get into the specifics a little bit for us. I know we only have, a few minutes here. There's so much that goes into what you do, but I'd love to hear more about that.
So things we'll train the dogs, like you said, medication reminders. We'll teach them to go get help. Like if someone were to fall and they needed help. We deal a lot with traumatic brain injury, TBI. So finding the phone, finding their keys, finding their wallet. Those are big tasks that we teach. Bracing up from the ground, out of a chair. like you said, alerting to anxiety and reacting to that by performing a command that helps to alleviate the anxiety the person's going through. Yes, you're right. There's so much turning on lights in a dark room, waking up a person from night terrors, and then turning on a light. Those are just a few of the tasks that these dogs learn.
Right. I know you have so many success stories. Are there any stories in particular that kind of tug at your heartstrings that you want to share with us?
So, yeah, I mean, oh gosh, all of them. I mean, we had a recipient years ago who, he lived in Maine, and he had to stay in Maine because of the VA system was what he really needed. But his family lived down in Florida, and he wasn't able to go visit them because it's a long drive from Maine to Florida. And getting on an airplane wasn't an option for him. And once we placed his service dog with him, not only was he able to fly down to visit his family, but he was actually able to move down to Florida because he didn't need the specific, system of that VA, and was able to move down and be with his family. And he went from, total isolation. Like, he would go to the grocery store right before it closed. And if anybody got in line behind him, he would walk out. He couldn't deal with anybody, And so he went from that to golfing every day with friends that he had made down in Florida.
That's amazing. Literally feeling isolated, or, like you're so held back in life, to flourishing. That is incredible. That is so neat. Can you share with us maybe any other hurdles that people face, maybe when choosing a service dog, or just, that's a beautiful story of overcoming personal challenges, but anything else you'd like to share with us about that?
Hurdles are, not every dog can be a service dog. A lot of people, like, I have personal dogs. I have smooth fox terriers myself, and I always tell people they are not good service dog material. They're bred to be independent. When looking at our dogs that we select for service dogs, and things people should think about is you have to honor that breed's genetics. And as much as people would like to say, oh, my dog would be a perfect service dog, more often than likely not. It's just a good pet that helps you. And so I think that you really have to take a good look at the dog you have. And in all honesty, we get people who are like, oh, well, I wish I had a service dog. And we always kind of shake our head. And I say we, because my staff and we hear this more frequently than we should. Oh, it'd be nice. I wish I had a service dog so I could take my dog with me everywhere. But
right.
to have a service dog, you have to be disabled. You have to have a life-changing disability.
Right.
And I always tell people, like, if my recipients, and they love their dogs to death and they're wonderful people, if they were able to say, all right, you can have your life back before you became disabled, or you could keep your service dog, 100% of them would want their life back before they had a service dog.
There you go.
And so, when we hear people say that or bring their dog out just because they want to have it with them everywhere, it's a little it's disingenuous. And it can be dangerous if the dog's not trained properly.
Yes, I think most of us could probably recall a time or two where we thought, should this dog be out here in this environment? So I think that's an opportunity, Brooke, for us to clarify the differences between an emotional support animal versus one of your trained service dogs.
Right. So an emotional support animal it's not limited to any type of animal. It can be a dog, a cat, as my oldest son likes to say, a spider. And it's anything that provides you comfort, but they don't have access rights out in public aside from where regular pets are allowed. So an emotional support dog could go to Home Depot or, PetSmart or places like that, but it can't go into a non-pet friendly restaurant or the post office or, the shopping mall or the grocery store, because emotional support dogs are not task trained to mitigate the individual's disability. They just make you feel better. And a dog making you feel better is not an actual task of a service dog. Yeah. For service dogs, tasks are reproducible work. So for us, for service dogs, again, medication reminders, turning on lights, alerting to anxiety and actually having a task that can help alleviate it. Those are actual tasks. And plus it takes hundreds, if not thousands of hours to train a service dog to be a service dog. An emotional support animal, you could go adopt the dog tomorrow and call it your emotional support dog.
There you go. Helpful information. And I know you know this, but we really seem to be in a dangerous place where fake therapy dogs and service animals are actually being sold. Have there been any legal consequences for those involved in activities like that?
So there is. I know that Assistance Dogs International is trying to work with organizations like Chewy and Amazon and places that, sell these service dog vests to anybody. They've been working with them, trying to get them to pull them from their particular market. But yes, every state has a law against impersonating a disabled person. And then federally, there is a law against, having a fake service dog. And most states also have additional laws against impersonating a service dog. So there are laws that cover that. The problem is a lot of places don't enforce them. So I know people have said, well, do we need more legislation? I don't think we need more legislation. I think that we need to enforce the legislation that we have.
Makes sense. Any reputable sources or credible organizations that you believe people should be looking to for guidance or for help?
Absolutely. So Assistance Dogs International is a coalition of service dog programs. So you have to apply, you have to go through accreditation process as an organization, and then they come back and reaccredit you every 5 years. So these are service dog programs who have put in that extra mile to go and say, okay, we want to meet the standards of this international organization. So Mutts With A Mission isn't a huge program, but we have to meet the same standards as Canine Companions for Independence, it was the first service dog organization. It's also one of the largest service dog organizations in the country. We also have to meet the same standards as, service dog organizations in Israel and Europe and places like that. So that there's an outside entity looking at that service dog program saying, all right, are you doing the right thing? Are you meeting all these steps? Are your dogs well treated? Are you following up with them? A lot of, quote, service dog trainers will give someone a dog or charge someone for a dog, and that's that. They just give them a dog and there's no training that goes along with it, other than maybe a couple hours. There's no follow-up. Our teams are required to recertify every year. So we get to lay eyes and hands on the dog and check vet records and make sure the team's working together. So if when I have people ask, what's a good reputable resource, I would say Assistance Dogs International.
Okay, so helpful. So Brooke, I know a lot of our dog moms watching are likely feeling inspired by what you've shared with us. So I know they're going to want to keep tabs on what you have going on with Mutts With A Mission. So what's the best way for them to go ahead and stay informed?
Either our website, muttswithamission.org, or Facebook or Instagram. Look us up at Mutts With A Mission. We have a phenomenal social media person who she's a college, or she just graduated college yesterday.
Congratulations.
Yes. But she is, up on all that. I'm a dog trainer. I'm not a technology person. I leave that to the masterminds of that. So she's wonderful and does a great job. So you can keep track of all the dogs we have in training and the visits and things like that we do.
Well, Brooke, again, a heartfelt thank you. Thank you for all that you're doing on so many levels. It's been fascinating to talk with you today. Since 2008, receiving your accreditation from Service Dogs International in 2019, you've been doing incredible things. There's no doubt about it. And we've learned so much. So thank you for your time, and continue to just fight to help those who need it most.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for watching this Dog Mom News clip. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more awesome and informative Dog Mom News content. And while you're at it, ring the bell so that you can find out about more content in real time. You don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, everyone.